whenever you're ready.
There's definitely been an unfolding for me because of the frequency and
closing the gap.
Yeah.
Pushing you in the fire. Right.
Yeah.
You're digging it more. Because you're proving it to yourself. Yeah. It's beyond conversation. Up close, you're confronted by the reality of what it is. You have no protection. You're exposed. Naked, so to speak. That's a good way to move from theory to practice. Actual practice. Yeah. It's called living practice. So what's the difference between the living practice and what you were doing before? Or not doing before?
There was a lot of imagination going on previously.
Among other things.
Yeah. Pretty good tangle of what I thought I knew and what was going to actually help me in any way in terms of knowing anything.
Did you say knowing nothing? Yeah. Only knowing nothing. Only knowing nothing is good practice, if there is such a thing as practice. At a point you ask if you can even practice, and what is it that practices if you ever had an experience of practicing? You say, how could this happen? How could I actually practice? You can when you can't practice. When you can't practice, you might practice. When you can't know, you might know. When you can't hear, you might hear. And when you can't see or feel, you might see and feel. The raindrops are beating on the roof. Who hears that? What hears that? In truth, what is a raindrop? First there was a question of whatever the teaching is, and now there's no question about what the teaching is. Maybe there's a question about what the no teaching is.
I'm not sure if it's a question. I mean, right now it's an experience of not having questions and not being interested in bringing any up that I brought with me, because they're, you know, the petals have already fallen off of them. There's nothing, you know.
And that's what you want to offer others, nothing. Then it becomes a matter of what do you owe other beings? How do you serve other beings? Can you serve other beings by proving you can't speak? And that you can strategically not ask a question? Does that help them?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the transition from having questions to not having questions? How does that arise? And how does one manage that transition or deal with it?
Is that a question? Right. See, real questions will arise of themselves, like everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everything else. It's called self-arising. Yeah. And that depends upon whether your consciousness is limited to yourself or defined by yourself, and your self-interest, and your self-questioning or self-answering, or having more of a connection with others, and whether you are here to ask questions for them to have answers to consider themselves by. Say. Mm-hmm. So your purpose is not just personal, it's impersonal. Mm-hmm. So you might think, well, what question might your friend have that you can bring them an answer for? Say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or not. Yeah. Mm. But at least in that moment you're not self-located. See? You might be wisdom located.
So then the question comes up, when is enough learning enough?
There's no such thing. There's no quantity. So you can't learn enough because there's nothing to learn. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not yourself controlling the process anyway. Or you're reasoning, or you're rationalizing, or guessing, or wandering, or wondering. So then it could be said, what questions do you bring from your friends for your friends or your people? Or all people, all beings.
Questions about how you use the language here have come up.
No one uses the language here. How do we use the air we're breathing here? How do we use the toilet here? It's not self-created. It may be self-arising, but it's not self-created. In other words, it's not a product, it's a process. And the intelligence, the unconscious, or the superconscious, speaks for itself, so to speak. And as far as that goes, you'll know when you get there, if you're going there. As part of your journey. I might add that before you get there, you have to throw the words away. You have to throw language and all of that intellectual gunk away. How else could it be? If your cup is full, you can't add anything to it. If you know too much, you're your own problem. See, so in fact, there's wisdom to the wisdom. There's intelligence to the intelligence, actually. But who perceives it as such? You have to ask from nothing and receive from nothing. And receive as nothing. And then there is that level where people have serious concerns and serious questions. Because they are closer to the experience of life and death than, let's say, some are. So the Dharma, if there is such a thing, it should not be self-created. It has to come up by itself. It's a free arising, so to speak. Who knows? The openness relative to that is radical openness. The language here is light. You have to be willing to perceive it as such. Yeah. And it's more vibration than just a word, or words. See, the words can be functioning as mirrors or windows. See, depends on the individual. No one needs to understand the words. See, they can hear and resonate with it. It's like a musical note. Nobody knows what a musical note is, except a certain kind of pitch, tone, and so on. You know, it's physical characteristics, but nobody knows what it is. Say, okay, you heard a sound. What is it? What does it mean? And the answer in terms of what it means is not going to be enough. Because it's not begging for an answer or a response. It just is what it is. Comment on that. See. So individuals have to unfold to where they have understanding. So they have to open up to what it is. In every case, you have to open up to what it is. In other words, to know for yourself, if you can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Enlightenment, if there is such a thing, is always the case. It's the thing that can't disappear. Except in your mind. It's always a reality. Yeah. It is what it is. The more you're open to what it is, the more you see it for what it is. It's always the case, and thus there's always a balance of it. That's what it is. It's the existing, perhaps, balance. The real balance is that. But then you want to say, well, what is enlightenment then? You say, nobody knows. But that's the beauty of it. It's the nobody knows. But you can know that nobody knows. That's the mystery of it. You have to enter the nobody knows. See? And realize what it is for yourself. Not for yourself, but just for the sake of itself. Always here, already gone. Only here, already gone. Are these words? Or are they something else? What is the burn? The burn is hearing into silence. Hearing into knowing beyond knowing. So how well does one hear? If you hear very well, then there's nothing to say. You get it. You hear it. Bam! So, whoa. If you don't hear very well, then you have to read and read and read and read and maybe get the flow of it. Somehow. So you're thinking and not knowing. You're searching and not having found it already. See? It's not out there. See? It's not in things. It's in the no-thing. Some might say that. It's in the nothings. See? Mm-hmm.
Is there a sequence that leads up to that realization, or is it?
It's already here. It's without sequence. Although a person can define it in terms of an experience or a series of events or a series of experiences. So, certain process But if you awaken to what it is, it was never anywhere else, so there's no process. It's valid. In the light of what it is, or in the sound of what it is. There's no process that equals it or makes it happen. It just is. That's the process. Right? The being of is. The isness of being, or suchness as others would call it. Itness. Thatness. I-ness. Who-ness. Say. No-ness. Right? The no-ness of it all. Or some would say the so-ness. Right? The whatness. In every case, it's easier said than done and realized, actualized, put to rest, or realized and forgotten about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the world of appearances, people come here for answers, knowledge. Not really. Not really. Beneath that, or beyond that, people come here just to be here, to be here-ness. And feel the presence of the beingness. Which is the basis for any practice out there in the world, wherever it is, where relaxation, sitting is part of the process. And we'd have to call it the process of going deeper than the superficial blah blah, seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, touching of the flesh. See? We need to get to the super sensitive, the super subtle reality that is using us all the time, but we're negating it because we're just so happily physical and sensual that that's all that we care about. Because that might be where we get our comfort from, our pleasure. Nothing spiritual about it, particularly. Nothing deep about it. Nothing liberating about it. It's just what you preoccupy yourself with. Ordinary stuff. Being ordinary. Not really caring about being deep at all, in fact. Being deep. Oh, wait. Let me get another ice cream. I'll be deep with you later. Let me wolf this down. And I'll take a bowl of guacamole too when you get a chance. I'll do that too. Yeah, so what were you saying about deep? What is that? See? So says the flesh, mind. Yeah? Mm-hmm. The self-mind. Yeah. And it's not unsacred. No one's putting it down. It's just, what else is there? Attunement, channels, frequencies. What frequency are you on today? So going deeper is like equals meditation, the possibility of going deeper. Right? Letting go of all the stuff that distracts you, preoccupies you, and takes you everywhere and, in a sense, nowhere. Deep. It's the avoidance of deepness, completely. Would you like to go with me over here? Can you come with me to do that? Of course. No ability to really be alone. In many cases, people can't be with themselves. They can't be at all, in fact. This is program after program after program, thing after thing after thing. See, obligation after obligation after obligation. Blah, 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 blah. Life. All the things you do are nothing to do. You hope they're going to solve something, bring you somewhere. You hope. Well, one hopes. Well, let me do this, because if I do this, I'll and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. And my life is full of things to do. I'm very happy. I have so many things to do. Really? Who are you when it stops? It ends. Kaput. But the machine just flop. Fizz. Zero. Comment now? So that's what meditation is. Very good. Strange way to get there, but that's basically that's what the doctor ordered, obviously, in that case. See. And therefore you have the language in all the yogic practices, and all the meditation practices, regardless of whether they're in one school or another school, even the Christian school, sitting, praying. Yeah. Inwardly conversing with the Lord is a shutdown of sorts. But it's not limited to that, see. You can do these internal things anywhere under any circumstances and get what you were asking for earlier about the balance. So it's meditation in action. It's peace in action. See? Peaceful action. What you have in you that you've realized you bring everywhere, to everyone. That has to start here, now. Heart first. Then there may be the realization of the heart being the universe. The universe is the heart. See, the finite is the infinite. The infinite is finite. So when you're free of playing all these adolescent games with yourself and other peeps, then there may be room and space for something deeper to happen. So, no bull, no BS, just nobleness. Yeah. Like a tree. Nothing going on, but it's standing by itself. See? Noble, like a tree. Receiving the light, the rain, elements, and sending roots into the earth. See? And growing taller, closer to the sun, moving up to the sun. Sunlight. See? Going deep into the earth. To go closer to the sun. Yeah. Going deeper towards the light.
Seems like, unlike trees, we feel like we can make efforts towards this and that.
Well, the tree is making an effort, but not really. We are making efforts, but not really. Yeah. We are no different. It hasn't been determined what the tree thinks, however, but it's obvious what humans think because they let everybody know about it. Say compulsively, impulsively. It's their nature as soon as they show up. Blah! Lend me your ear. Good to see you. Haven't seen you. Love. Friendship. Romance, sickness, unpeace, division, falling apart, looking great but falling apart. So it's obvious you have come here to stop, to listen. Stop, look, and listen. And that has changed you. And it continues to change you. Because that's what the roots are about. Not just all disappear, going deeper. And experiencing directly the going deepness. Which is transformational in nature. It's a slow growing process. Deeper and deeper. Into zero. Get away from the addiction to imagery, the unconsciousness of imagery. See? The stupidity of imagery. And believing imagery is the reality. Not all this is nonsense. Depends. It could be the most catastrophically needed thing in the universe for someone to hear the right word at the right time. Speech consciously, creatively, and wisely applied to interrelationships. Transmission. Transmission means a channeling. What comes through to someone by itself. Boom. Someone hears it, someone doesn't. Someone gets it beyond imagination, and most don't. Someone will come up to me with this look of awe and profundity, like, did you know that was for me? I said, yeah, it's for you. Absolutely. You got it. It's yours. And that could be one gone. And one person can catch that. And the life is altered forever because they heard a key. They got it. In the tsunami of sounds and madness of the, let's say, cacophonic appearance, the simplicity of that one line is crucial to someone with an ear. And here's it, like a missing link. That's what it's worth. So it's not a problem with language, but the use of it. You speak as from the superficial, then you're not going to hear and understand anything. Unless it's served to you on a silver platter. So, well, this here means this because, and this is its history, this is its tree, and then that's what it means. You don't get the meaning that way. You get an interpretation that way. You get a spiel that way. The unconscious, conscious, gets everything perfectly. Then you have to ask, where do you stand relative to that? When you're also supposed to be the conscious unconscious. That you do so well to pretend you're not. Because of programming and belief systems and agreements to be one thing or another thing or one type of person, another person, for the sake of your people, right? Who you are the puppet of, the people, the family, the friends, and all the rest of it. Burned. Gone. No such thing. At another level, there's no such thing. No such thing.
So there are a lot of, it's seemingly a lot of layers to get through. For example, as a musician, trying to play from nowhere, as you demonstrate and talk about.
Well, there's a real nowhere, right? That is like everywhere, and then you have the nowhere of beginners, like nowhere. right? The nowhere of nowhere. Right. We're talking about two different realities. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Comment.
The comment is seem to be a lot of ways that people fool themselves into thinking that they are even making progress toward playing selflessly.
Well, that's because selflessness doesn't exist at that place. All right? From the point of view of the self, there's no selflessness. When you're being self, there's no selflessness as such. Unless you're actually the self of selflessness. And that, of course, would have to be that would have to be determined. Because we can say that maybe some teachers or guides are the selves of selflessness. They're personifying selflessness. So their self is selflessness. But you're not talking about that. You're talking about beginner musicians who have a spiritual idea or concept and maybe a playing or art form that they're striving to arrive at, that is a demonstration of the spiritual or selflessness. When I'm telling you, there's no such thing. Right? Everything is selflessness and everything is spiritual. But if you're in a state of mind that is a complete concrete, you don't know that. You don't know that for real. You know your self-mind. You know the stuff going on in your head and in your emotions and your ego, trying to build itself up to try and, build itself up to look like someone who has nothing inside, empty. See? Now, it is possible that you take on so much karma and experience that you just give up. And in that exhaustion, you might be where you need to be, but it's at the end of the road for you. Maybe when you're spreading your wings and starting to fly into the celestial. Oh, now I got it. I'm rising because I don't have any other stuff I was identifying with. I don't have any baggage, so I'm lifting up. Not thinking, feeling, knowing, sexing, drinking, eating.
Are there musical practices specifically that lend themselves toward this type of lightning, or are we talking about people?
No, there's no such thing. Because there's nothing. You've heard it. There's nothing. There's nothing you can do if you're studying my guitar work. Then there's nothing you can do. You can take it and say, "Oh, this is it, or this is closer. This is it, or this is closer." There's no thing. There's no. There is no thing. But in the traditions, they say no thought. No, that's good. No thinking. That's very good. Letting go. I mean, these are concepts, but that's useful. Letting go, stopping, letting it go, breathing it out. Let it be. Let everyone and everything be. See, and then see where you are and what's left. See. And you would say, "Well, I have nothing left." Getting closer. Keep going. Keep going into the nothing you have that you say is what you have left. That's extreme. That's impossible. That's like entering the miraculous in a sense. For most ordinary people who want much less than what you are proposing. They want much less. They want a little gratification. Say, a little love. Recognition. Right? Awards. They want props. Applause, an audience. This is baby stuff. A master don't care about that. In their minds, they hear tens and hundreds of thousands of beings applauding. They're in the roar of applause. And there may be two people standing in front of them. We didn't get that, by the way. We don't know what you were doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. See? Mm. Mm-hmm.
The question that comes up is, you talked about mastery and needing to master things to let them go, to transcend them.
Yeah, but you don't do that. See, even the master doesn't do it. See, so you have to get to that point where you're able to do what you need to do without doing it. That's the razor's edge. Yeah. It's almost as if you need to go with ice skates. In this light, people would say, well, this is about perfection. I would say, well, there's a possibility of that here. But if you're not doing it, how does it get perfect? Could something else be doing it more perfectly than yourself doing it? Absolutely. Easily. Precisely. To get to that place is, let's say, what the climb is all about. So you have people in the Olympics, Olympians, right? And they are training all the time, and on one occasion the so-called plan comes out perfectly, and wow, but the individual is alone. It's not in front of the lights and the cameras. It's not for the judges. So you know you can do it, but you also know you can't do it. It's the dilemma. It's 50-50 chance you can't do it. Because it's a moment of perfection that proves that it can be done, but you suspect you didn't do it. It's just luck. It's the same with practice and anything else in terms of what we are talking in regards to. It's the deepness being, not your trips and other people's trips and how they appear to be doing things. No, this is a deepening process that nobody sees. You can't see this. You can't hear it. So you can't know it. Like everything else. Subtle. Super subtle.
It's showing up that more of that which I think is spiritual or whatever is just more layers of nonsense.
Zero. It's the zero. So if you're talking about musicians who are being trained to be musicians, say, that's good. Go forward. Enjoy your training, gentlemen and gentlewomen. Keep going. You can become great players, but you won't know what this is. You can be great players of training, but you won't know what the transcendent is. What we can call the beyond is, or what the real spiritual is. Way beyond that. And everyone has a right to their claims of being spiritual, whatever that means to them. Religious, pious, whatever it means to you. It's okay. But this is beyond all of that. You have to get used to the language in your own mind that this is beyond all of that. You have to say to yourself, this is beyond myself and all of its garbage. Far beyond it. And then if you're honest, you say, I really hope so. I certainly hope so. I'm tired of all this garbage of myself. Tired of it. It smells. It's nasty. Question?
Does that mean people should not do anything?
Yeah. Exactly. Painfully. Oh, shucks. Nothing to do? Try and do nothing, peeps. You can't. For all your worth, you can't do nothing. You can't stand nothing. You can't stand aloneness. You can't stand no oneness. Right. These are unbearables. These are the unbearables that are the gates to what you're talking about. Some would say, well, to put it in simpler terms, you have to go beyond yourself. Whoa, me go beyond myself? What, myself? What, are you crazy? I love myself. Finished. No possibility. Next person. You have to go beyond yourself. I have no self to go beyond. I've been trying to find it all these years. Can anybody show me where my self is? Good. Go ahead. Go. Go. There's no self to find. Gone. See? Huh. There's no self that it is. It is no self. See? So, to put it in more maybe tangible terminology, nevertheless abstract, there's an inner reality. We have to use the gift of duality. Now, there's the inner reality, the outer reality, the physical reality, then the subtle reality, as a device to try and comprehend what's at stake, what's at risk here. As I've said before, if you depend upon the outer for your inner, you pollute yourself. You are no different from the outer. You've already lost what you never knew you had. Yum, yum, yummy. And you've been in the wrong company, so to speak, company that is not conducive to the recognition that there is a sacred inner that functions distinct from your self-programming, your psychology, and your body-mind sort of programming. Culture. The scientists might call it, subconscious, preconscious, some other kind of conscious, subtle conscious, etheric conscious, psychic conscious, astral conscious. The words go on and on and on. And say, yes. The intuitive conscious. Yes. What's that mean to the next person, to you? It may mean nothing to you. But one word like that, the intuitive conscious, might be like a huge 25-foot diameter gong being banged right in your face. I said, oh man, that's the word. Wow. Holy smoke. Worse than getting hit by the Mack truck. Key, see, this tiny little short soundbite. Intuitive consciousness. Catches the ear of someone in the multitudes of beings. See? The many, many beings is a one person, because boom, that's who it's for, the one person. The many one persons who hear it. Hear it. See, there's a phrase that says, many are called, but few are chosen. I changed that a little bit. Many are chosen, very few can do it. Bam! See? As I say, cut the mustard. Please. I need more for my bagel. My Swiss cheese is too strong. Cut it. Cut the flavor. Come in. Yeah, Master's path is razor sharp path. Right. Razor sharp.
Is that the only way to get there?
It's not the only way. But to get where? Where do you need to get to? Right. By some easy way. Right? Some easy way out, like a back door? No. There's no escaping death. There's confronting it. And going through that with deep and profound understanding and respect for the process. That your death, yourself created. No escaping that. So to the great place, there's no shortcut. It's straight and narrow. Yeah. Many have different opinions about it. And you can listen to their music. saw. Cutting through. It's another word for it. Cutting through the barriers and the darknesses. See? The veils. All the resistances. All of the blood gunk. Right? The great gunk of the blood. See? All of it. It's about going deeper than you're used to. And going deeper means your perceptics are deepened, sharpened, to a certain degree. So you come out of it not the same as before. Slightly altered. For the better. Yeah. So you sense more. So it's sensitivity training of sorts. But you can't help that. So if you're going towards the spiritual, you're letting go of the gross, and you're becoming more aware of the non-gross, subtle. That's what you're asking for. You're asking for enlightenment to become more light, right? And yet you may be clinging to the gross. The two aren't going to fit together there, as such. You want the light, then you have to be as the light is, subtle, so to speak. This is theory, right? Same with the music that you've heard. You can't hear the same anymore. It's changed your hearing forever. Not because I say so, because everybody says so. And we'd like to think that that is the better. It's hearing. Refinement is part of the expanding of, let's say, the intelligence and the sensitivity. So you know better. You know faster than before. And you don't need to chew on as much feces. Well, I'll try it. Yeah, I like that kind. I'll come back to you. Right, chewing garbage. But I'm saying this because you know this. Because you've experienced this already, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Right? And so that's what's good about this. You can prove to yourself what is being said because you have experienced what it is for yourself. Come on?
That sensitivity comes up, it seems like, when certain things come in and are experienced involuntarily.
Yeah, without invitation. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, and so it's been a challenge to not, be tossed around not only by my own stuff, but all this other stuff that's coming in.
Well, you have to welcome the sensitivity that comes with, we won't call it training as such, but exposure to something. Right, so it's a form of training. Spending time here is a form of training. Listening training. But it's not just listening to listen, it's listening to know. And when the knowing becomes, let's say, catastrophic, then it's like burning into hearing. See? Hearing silence, zero. That's the equation here. So it's language befitting the technology. It's not a magnet to bring people into its strange language and exotic language. No, it's got nothing to do with that. It has to do with precise experience. Psychic and spiritual experience. On the spot. Just like that. And even that's too slow for some people. So I just got it on the spot, but I need more. I want it all to be like that. The whole thing over in a snap. As you'd like it to be. The wave of a hand. Come in. And there's a deep part in you that knows that it's not supposed to be like that. Okay. That's why it's easy to say it to you. Because you know this is not supposed to be some wipe it off, clean it up, and send it out. Because it's done. No way. It's beyond that. Appearance. It's beyond the wipe down. Has to be pure, through and through, heart realized, so to speak. Speech realized, body realized, mind realized, sound realized, and then silence realized. You've become more present, and it's a good sign for you. And it is true, you don't need questions as much as you did before. You don't need answers. That's a good sign for you. You're able to actually be here. Progress is in progress. Whatever that is, good.
Yeah. You mentioned being that one of your experiences is being very open to people's stuff that comes in, and
We can't help that. That's part of it. You make yourself more vulnerable. The more open you are to the practice, the more vulnerable you are to other people. Otherwise, you can't read them. You can't be of service.
yeah.
Right. So sometimes, for some people, it becomes unbearable, and you have to back away from it. You have to slow down. Say it's too much too soon. And that's your responsibility, not anybody else's responsibility. See? You have to regulate your intake. Just as you have to regulate your outflow. You have to regulate it. And then it becomes a matter that's so conscious that you have to regulate your speech. Not just your physical interaction with people and their karma, but your speech, what you say, becomes more basic. It's not just to talk. Say no. It becomes more heart to speech. See. It's a heart mind to speech. More functional. See? Straight up, so to speak. It can be as casual as need be, and just as friendly and sociable as need be, but there's this other thing awakening that has its own reality. That's what this is for. That's what you are paying attention to. See? More so than the theatrics that are fun to express, right? The humor of human nature and so on, right? People in general. Yeah, but there's something else. What's underneath that? What's going on inside that? That's what you need to pay attention to. That's why you're here. Whether you like it or not, you have to pay attention to it, because that's what's happening here. Okay. It's like a tree. Doesn't care if you like it or not. You know, you pull your huge saw out, you're going to chop it down. That's what you do. The tree has to can't get up and run away yet. It can't convert its roots into legs, except in Hollywood. Yeah.
So then, with all this stuff coming in, it seems like what you're saying also is that it doesn't really matter how I feel about it.
Well, it does matter how you feel about it. Yeah. Because how else are you going to regulate what you can handle? It's a conversation you have to have with yourself, so to speak. How much you can handle, because your body is in the mix. Your body, mind are in the mix, being impacted by flows and energies, and usually not the best energies. So you have to manage that. You're a public servant, so you have to regulate that for yourself. You have to regulate conversations for yourself. Have conversations you can be involved in and others you can't be involved in. So it's not good for your diet. It's not good for your nutrition. So you have to watch your speech and your stomach. And your dreams. So you need to know what it is that's coming in order for you to know what it is you have to respond to and in what way. And your training here, that means listening to a certain level of speech and where it's coming from, is part of this foundation process for you. From this, you can determine what works and what doesn't work for you, or anybody else. This is the normal speech here, so-called speech. It's normal. Whether we're in that room or in this room, this is a normal speech. Right now, this is a certain specific setup for the sake of getting something out to your friends who cannot be here and should not be here, but who are just as easily served by your service of recording it. And maybe even more served by that. And it's not whether it's good or bad, high or low, valid or invalid. It's just basically what occurs here, right in your face, right before your very eyes. And it is what it is. And some will see and feel something from it. Some will hear and know something of it. And it will reinforce what it needs to reinforce in terms of a deeper sense of perception and reality that is common to all beings at that level. We have had many conversations. And they have been important for some. The issue is, where do they come from? And that's what's even more important, where the conversations come from. What the conversations are pointing to. That is what is of importance. Not just that we are talking, questioning and answering, but where it's coming from. What's its purpose? What's its location? Yeah. What's its message, really? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So does it make a difference whether anybody understands what's being said, as to whether either musically or dharmically this connection has the same impact?
Well, at the self level, if they can't get it, they don't have the benefit of that. They don't have the advantage of that. Does the unconscious get it? Yes. But what good is the unconscious getting it if the self doesn't get it? To be conscious of it itself. The self doesn't know what's going on. Unless you have access to the unconscious, what difference does it make? But does the unconscious know? Yes. So at some point, a person who has no consciousness can appeal to their inner consciousness and ask it to help them understand or realize what it is that they were present for but they missed. Okay? So that's possible because it's in there. But the ego shows you how isolated the ego is, that it can't get it. And that's the beauty of it and the danger of it all at once. But some never get it. And then their death comes and it's too late. Like they never acted out what they really could have been acting out had they been a little bit more determined to find out what the meaning was to something, see, for themselves. And there are those who seek that meaning for themselves. Even if it has no meaning, some seek the meaning of the no meaning for themselves. And therefore it is said, and leave no stone unturned. The seeker is the one who says, I need to know, I have to know. I don't know, but I need to know. At least I know I don't know, so I really need to know more. See? It's a seeker. And they're seeking with such intensity, they may not know they already know. But then that's a seeker at a certain level of consciousness. And that's what we need to know. At what level is the seeking going on? At what level should it be going on? That's another need to know. one might suddenly wake up one day and say, oh, I've been seeking in the wrong place. This is wasting my time. I need to go to this level. You can change your whole mode of questioning in the blink of an eye and bring it here. Not knowing that mode of questioning opens up a whole other vista for you that you'd have to ask for. So if you don't ask for it, what's the purpose of dumping it on you or anybody else? There's no purpose. Ask and you shall receive is the command that functions best here.
Does the seeking end at any point?
It's never begun. It never began. So the seeking already ended. And yet the seeking is also just beginning. One can say it's all happening at once. The arising, the perpetuating, and the ceasing all at once. Boom! Then what? And thus it is said, there's nothing to seek. There's no seeker. At a certain level, that is a fact. So it's always a fact at its level. At its own level, it's always a fact. It's zero. We're talking about like space shifting. Going from mind space to no mind space. Right? It's a shift. It's not a play with words when it's real. In music, I make it absolutely real. It's musically real and still impossible, but it's musically real. That is not a musical capability as much as a spiritual capability. See? So that's another level to get to. We say, well, as spirits, what can you do? Right? Because as humans, it's all this blah, blah about this, that, and materialism and peeps and society and earth and all the rest of that. It's got nothing to do with spirits. The spirit factor is asleep. Right? It's all about sense, flesh, stuff, business. It's all about the business. It's not about the spirit or the soul. Say no. No, soul. It's about materialism. What do they say that is one particle of what the real is? Right? One particle of what the real is. Right? Materialism, one particle of what the real is. 1%, let's say, of what the real is. So how soon can we get to the nowhere? Or everywhere, the nowhere everywhere of what the spiritual is. How soon can you shift from self-mind to that mind, the no mind? That's what hot fire sound is about. They already shifted. The always already shifting capability of space beyond space. It's not a school thing. It's not a cultural thing. It's an esoteric thing. But it's a creative thing. So if you have the privilege of being around the creative intelligence that can make that clear, then it becomes clearer, like that, isn't it? Snap. Your question is?
My question is, this seems so basic and so true. Why is it not common knowledge? Why aren't people, making this the issue?
It's not supposed to be common knowledge. It is so basic and true, but at a level that makes it uncommon. So, what I play is basic and true, but why isn't it being played in every household and venue in the world? Say no, it's so uncommon. Get it out of here. Kill it. Don't comprehend it. Right? It doesn't fit in. Its vibration is very different. It's not better. It's just a different vibration. Right? It's not really an earth vibration. Once you get that, then you say, no, this isn't going to work. And it takes you 2 seconds to hear it in the music that it is far from an earth vibration, but it's relative to the earth, but it's far from an earth vibration. So, and you don't think of it as being common. It's impossible. It can't be common because it's not common. You can try to make it common. You're welcome to the opportunity to do that. But it can't be that. So it's at another level. It's so obvious it's at another level. We're not saying it's better than anybody. It's at its own level. In other words, it has to be broken down for other people. It has to be broken down, made more clear to, and more practical for other people. See, perhaps. Because you've been here for so many years, it becomes common knowledge in a certain way. But that's because you've been so exposed to it. Takes familiarization to be able to handle it, but still doesn't mean you can get it in a certain way. So it means you are familiar with it and you can get as much as you can from it and apply it in your own case. Because the idea is it's universal knowledge for all people. Okay? Because we're all spirits. Well, we can pretend we're just a flesh bag, but where are you going after your flesh bag is done with you? Where are you going? You're going to the grave? You're going to become a ghost? Earthbound ghost? What? Which is the only alternative. Once the body's done with you, you're a ghost. If you have nowhere else to go, you're earthbound and subject to other spirits and demons who rule here. Have no doubt about that. So you need to practice doing something so that you are outside of that frequency realm that's deeper and more mysterious than the demons. So it's better to have heard something beyond the demons for your sake. Because that time will come in everybody's case. And it may already be here for some. And so be it. Love always, Hugh.